Hello to anyone and everyone that may be listening. I'm super excited to be here. Just doing this kind of film work. I've been planning this out for about a month now, since like January 1st was when I knew from being off of school now that I wanted to start recording or let people know what I was working on. I know I get a lot of questions of people that are pretty close friends or family friends or anything that are just curious on what's going on, and they'll ask me what I'm doing, why I'm home, why. Thought this would be a good way to kind of explain that, but then at the same time, in this off time of being away, I've just been doing a lot of research with a drone company, or research in agriculture or construction, or working on this, or working on a freelance project, or affiliate marketing, or blogging, or Facebook marketing via free trials and via webinars and via different permits or different licenses, kind of a bunch of random things, some freelance work to make some money, trying to figure out a bunch of different industries and what's happening in those, so that I can apply it to what I actually ultimately left school for, which was drone videography and the emerging drone world, which is just an amazing thing of its own. But I'm going to stay away from that tonight. Like I'll say a few times, I don't like to do stuff live. I like to record before, as much as I would love to just be able to freeball everything. I want to be able to edit it and piece things together. And you could probably see the green screen behind me. I'm going to be using that a lot, so you don't have to just be staring at me. I think that's really awkward. Got my little poster up there of Steve staring you back, so you can look at him if you ever get bored of looking at me. A big thing that I guess I wanted to do this for, the reason why I wanted to put together a blog and potentially a podcast and these longer videos, and I'll have shorter videos, so I'll explain that a little bit more, but it was really to, like I had said, show people what I'm working on, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that I've gotten after getting right out of school, and so I thought it would be good to kind of talk about what I've learned just leaving and coming into the real world. Having to still pay rent at a house back there. I am living with my parents, so I'm lucky enough to have that opportunity, but still having to work. Like, I can't not do anything. I can't be sitting around. I have bills to pay, and I have a lot bigger aspirations than sitting around, and that was the reason why I left in the first place. And I wanted to talk about kind of that journey, and I've learned so much from physically researching and looking things up, but as well as just experiences that I would have never had being sheltered at a school, or growing up in high school and being given a lot, but then at the same time, the things I wasn't given, I could just work through on my own. But now that I'm actually alone, and I can't work a college job to make my money, I can't just swipe my card for food, I can't just go back to the dorms or go back to my house and pretend everything's all right. So it's been kind of an eye-opener in that way, and I really think there's a lot of people that are going to need that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to move right into it, kind of how or where I came from before Gustavus and where I came from before here, how I started off, kind of what got me in, and because I've wanted to be an entrepreneur my whole life. I've always wanted to be in business. I've always wanted to be in sales. I've always wanted to be in marketing. And so I wanted to kind of talk about first where that rooted from my history coming up to this point. Because I feel I have some to offer in that way, so I want to say where I came from. Where I came from, and actually right before that, just because it's probably bothering a lot of people still, is why I'm wearing the hat. I feel like every character in anything has like their little thing. Steve had the glasses, Superman's got the cape, and the super, not that I think of a super whatever, but I thought it'd be fun to wear a hat. I'm one of those people, if you've known me growing up, is I always wear hats. I'm someone that just always likes to change things up. I like funky hats, I like fun hats, I like serious hats, and I like just whatever style of hat, and I always wear them. But that's where that is, so that's bothering probably a lot of people. Shout out to them, especially my brother. I know he's going to hate this. So, grew up in the Matamidi system. It was phenomenal. It was a great school. When I finally kind of started to hit any type of brain capacity to think about what I wanted to do, or what I enjoyed, or what kind of triggered any type of emotion for me, was in third grade. So before school had started in the summer, my mom and I went school supply shopping. And so for anyone that doesn't remember, does remember, I think I remember it pretty well, it was the first time you had your own anything, your own pencils, erasers, everyone had the grippies, your backpack. You needed all this for class. It wasn't anymore the teacher supplied all this stuff. And so I was there with my mom. She's like, what do you need? And she was just the nicest when it came to school supplies. I always knew, and I was fortunate enough to have school supplies that I needed, and which was always really nice. But then I realized, like, I was thinking to myself, and I remember, I think, thinking to myself, like, I really don't need that much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just need a pencil and a couple notebooks. I'd love a Grippy. I'd love an eraser. But so would everyone else. So did everyone else in the class. Everyone begged for it, people that didn't have it. And I remember asking my mom if I could have some, I think it was $20. I don't want to start making up stories, because I heard the more you think back on these things, the more kind of fake crap you put into them. So maybe she'll be able to come on and correct all this stuff. But from what I remember is I'd asked her just for some cash. I think she had gave me $10 to $20 to spend, and I had filled up a tin box that I had found. It was my dad's. He had some tools in it, and I could call it my own. It was mine. So I wanted to start my own little school store in the class, and I had sold for like 3 days, and it was the coolest thing in the world, because anytime there was a break, I'd go to my locker, run and grab my box, and I'd sell these erasers for like $1, and I'd be making money, because at that age, for people that don't know, like, there's kids that just carry around like $5 bills, $1 bills, and they see erasers, and stuff they don't have that, oh my god, I can use this to get that. Like, it was so fun, and I had something people wanted, and that was my first experience to business, and I knew at that point, like, not that was that was what I was gonna do for the rest of my life or wanted to do, but I knew, like, this is cool. And I ended up, so I forgot to say, so I ended up, my teacher, after like the 3 days, why I said I only did for 3 days, is she went to the principal just to check up on everything and see how that all went, and they had said that's like totally illegal. It's just like gambling in schools. It's just like any type of spending money, exchange of money in between students is not legal. I did get to keep the money. There was no, I think I had to give, like, on that day, I had to give people it back, because I didn't keep receipts or anything like that.
This is real life.
But it was super fun.
Stay in your
I was
seat.
super angry, though. Like, you know, I was seriously doing this real in the cash, and then didn't get anything after. But then went to 4th grade. At that time, it was amazing. Shout out to just all the people in Mrs. Baker's class. It was an amazing class, super fun. But myself and a kid named Jordan Homestead, it was super cool. He was the best drawer. He could do these cartoons, he could do series, and they were just, some of them were kind of creepy, some of them were super fun, but he just had an amazing gift. I just remember looking up to him, because I always loved art. I loved drawing, I loved painting, I loved anything I could do to just creative side to let it out, and he was just so good. And so we found that people, like, by talking it up, I loved sales, I loved marketing. I was realizing at this time that I could just talk my way through a lot of things, and I just, like, me and him kind of partnered up. We sold them for like 50 cents, like these Halloween big fat head, like, Frankensteins and just creepy drawings, to books we tried to make. Our class, we'd play like a game of life with erasers. We just always loved expanding, always loved doing things like that. So that was super fun. And again, just that sales in me was just so fun to have something people wanted, from coloring rubber bands and selling those to designing our own little bit. Like, I just loved to sell, and I loved to market. And then in 5th grade was like my first actual leadership role. I had done student council, I believe it was in 4th grade was when I started. I might have just started in 5th grade, I don't remember. And it was myself, Christine Claude, Olivia Kramer, and Michael Claude. And it was just the coolest, like, experience ever. I mean, it was so fun. It's the scariest thing in the world. We had to speak and do our presentation in front of the entire school, 3rd graders, 4th graders, and 5th graders, because everyone voted for these. They were the 4 that led student council from 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And so there's a bunch of teachers, parents, like, and it was scary. But then I remember just sitting up there, and it was the first time I was like, wow, like, hello, like, giving this little, like, way, like, it was so scary, but that was the only way for me at the time to kind of get away from that. And I really took it seriously. I always did with that kind of stuff. I really wanted to do stuff I thought we could, or we had the ability to, but we didn't. And I remember Michael's and Christine's speech is super good. And again, like, people remember, like, there was just a lot. Like, this is young, like, voting was difficult. You didn't really know, like, what was good or bad or what people did. It was just who you know or who you tried to. As I would say, a popularity contest, which it probably was in some ways. But I just remember when Olivia came up and started giving her speech, it just blew everyone away. The thing she was saying was, like, I want to be a part of that team. Like, I want to be a part of that. And that, I hope she's still speaking today if that's what she's interested in. But it was so cool. It was moving, and there was a reason why she won. So that was super cool. Shout out to her for that. But back to just the leadership side, when it was us 4 leading this team, and it was the first time, like, I remember Mr. Felber pulled us out in front of everyone. So he knew, like, he was just us 4, all student council had to sit in there and wait to hear what we were talking about. We got the inside scoop. We knew the issues. We knew everything. And for me, that was awesome. Like, I was so amped. Like, gotta stop saying like. So we'll try to watch that. Hopefully that doesn't get annoying now. But
The same thing I was selling in third grade, so I totally took my market. But just kidding on that. Yeah, that was super cool.
Now to jump into middle school from elementary school, I'm going to try to fly through these just because I know no one wants to hear my entire story. But middle school was, I'm guessing everyone remembers, just a crap show.
Just the emotions, the girlfriends, the realizing who friends are even are, like you're close, like you're tight-knit, and how they interact with other groups of friends, and oh my god, it's just weird with classes. And we were the ones, this is when finally I got my first, it was Amigo. Some people were gonna Firefly and Amigo. Cell phones were just kind of popping out there. Mine had the 4 numbers and the emergency number, like grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, no one else, like I had no one to reach, but it was just someone could call me at coffee rink or know I was safe if she needed to.
But also at the same time, what I do want to touch on with middle schools is the first time you start to see interest start peaking. You see people that not only are interested in sports, or you kind of see them like the hustlers to me started coming out. People you knew wanted to make money, or you knew people that wanted to be goofballs, or people that your personalities start to come out and you start to highlight them a little bit more. So that was very interesting. Shout out one again. I'm going to start calling people I love. Alex Bartels with selling pop out of the lockers. He probably made bank out of that. That was like an underground like drug dealing at the time. Hey, get to my locker. Like I got dues. You got the dues. And it was a super fun time seeing like personalities come out. My friend Teddy Bowie and I, when it was our first time we went to Mexico, and you see those sunglasses, I remember 2 for $10, or all those deals of fake Oakleys, fake everything. We wanted to buy tons of sunglasses, as many as we could. We put our money into it. Our spending money, because we wanted to sell them back at school. He was a way better salesman than I was at the sunglasses. I was honestly scared. Jumping into high school, and that was the real time.
It's the best of times. It's the worst of times.
Some of your greatest memories, some of your worst memories, your development of who you are as a human being. You finally start to realize what you want to do, what you're passionate about, the things you want to move forward, because you're preparing yourself to the next course. Everyone would say you're preparing yourself for college, and that's the only thing in the world. But obviously, like the name of the show, I'm not gonna completely push that. But I'm also gonna say it right now. This whole thing is not to ever push away someone that is serious about college, someone that is serious about education. Because I, along with a lot of people and almost everyone, I will say I do want to get a degree at some point.
Hold up. What did my boy just say?
I do want to get a degree at some point.
With high school it's the first time that you're actually dreaming about how you're going to get there. Developing, when I talk about again in another video, just your who, like who you're doing it for, why you're doing it, and how you're going to get there. It's extremely important to have. To learn that at Gustavus football. Shout out, we'll get to there. But it was just fun to see that, because people still had dreams. People still had passions that were greater than what I think we're led on to believe, from businessmen to stockbrokers to doctors to pro athletes to anything you wanted to be. And that was amazing, because for me it was business, economics. You're introduced to Money Matters. You're introduced to Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, Word. I mean, these classes from microeconomics to macro. I mean, it was just, for me, it was amazing. Like, that was the coolest experience, and just seeing, like, look at where this information is and look at what you can do in a class. They were actually allowing us to do a lot of things. Miss Hoffman, I had her, and I hope she has a way of seeing this, because she literally changed my life as far as what I'm doing and where I'm going. And I know she changed a bunch of others from her just one class. And I took a bunch with her. I know the people that did take classes with her will say the same thing, but she literally changed my life because of how passionate she was. I always was in there talking to her, and she brought me into the JA Titan competitions, which is where you have an online fake industry where you're selling a certain product, and you can upgrade your product, change the target market, change different pieces on the product. I mean, it was just from market research to product development. It was so cool, and that was when I started to see like how to manage a business, how to all in all work and adjust, make mistakes, and learn from those mistakes. But it was all virtual, and so that was super cool. Went to 2 competitions for that. One of them got to I think it was the state level, and we didn't win there, but it was super fun. It was a great experience with Sam Sheldon, Derek Johnson, Jackson. I hope I still have that picture. It was super cool. And then it was the JA business competition, and that was evolutionary for me. That was when we had one class, and our entire class was about building a business, and I got voted. I really was trying to push for it, and I got voted to be the president of the company. We actually physically put money in, and we received money at the end. So we made money in a class. We developed a product. Ours was the 5-foot long cords, the chargers for your phone, 10-foot long as well. It was an amazing class. We got to go in there, run a business, and develop a business. And then we got to go present, me along with 5 other people. Again, I hope I can find these pictures because it'd be fun. It was kind of like your Shark Tank. You had to go present. Then you went and got questioned. And kind of the full-on aspect on how you prepared, what you were doing before, after. It was just a full business competition, and that to have that experience was just beyond anything I've ever done. So that was unbelievable and kind of brought me to where I am now, because while I was doing all that, all those other classes that you have to take, and everyone needs to take those math, science, and Spanish, or I guess language, or whatever, and it's good, but at the same time, that was the first time I started to realize, like, okay, those classes, like, I'll take them, but I want to take more and more extra. I want to get into these business-oriented classes, and kind of was pushed away in a lot of ways because I had to live up to certain credits. So that was the first experience, first taste in my mouth of, like, I want to learn more, and I'm not having the ability to because I'm being forced to do other things or have a bunch of different stuff going on. But made it through, was an extremely ambitious kid, and got to start kind of the beginning of the drone world was at that time, and I got to meet with Jay and Patrick. Patrick had been a friend of mine since we were kids, so it was super fun, and that was kind of the beginning for a company they had started called Flight Productions. And that was amazing. So that was my introduction into the drones. But like I said, I want to stay away from that a bit for some other time. But it was amazing. I knew that's what I wanted to do. The first time seeing the drone in the air. When you see that, you know this industry. When you see that drone go up and you see the capabilities it has, where it is now, it's just game-changing. But where it was, and seeing that as a high school student, my senior year, going into what we were calling the real world of college, that was enough. I was sold. So that's when I knew it, and I'm still on that road. So time for college. Going off to Gustavus Adolphus College. My freshman year, summer football. I was going to Gustavus originally because I loved the full atmosphere of football. When I walked around the campus, it was very welcoming. Starting freshman year, just kind of again going that order of the timeline. Freshman year was, you're a little baby and your eyes are open to what life is, I think, because you are seeing really what, now that there is no parents in the picture, like what happens, like what really is going on when a kid gets away from his parents at an age level where you feel like you run the world. You feel like you know everything. I was freaking young, hungry, coming out of high school, fresh with the drones. Me and my buddies were surfing all summer, getting footage. And I thought we were going to be like pro surfers, trying to sell clothing line. Like I wanted to do everything, any way I could think to make money. And then I got to meet like the guys that just became my best friends. Right off the bat, they were just the nicest kids in the world. The smartest kids, the hungriest kids, the most passionate. And it was funny because they were all from the Classic Suburban. The Classic Suburban, RIP to it, but it was Hill Murray, St. Thomas were the two schools of the guys that I got to meet right off the bat my freshman year, and it was Jacob Gonzalez and Anders Rapp and Joe Schultz, and it was just, we became like squad. That's what everyone called us, was squad. We kind of made a name for ourselves from being goofballs on the field and goofballs off the field. Football was really kind of where we got to know people. It was just all the experiences there, and I just knew how hungry they were, and I saw everything they did, and I tried to do everything from I tried to push for Black Swan Capital Management. So they were geniuses with stocks, investing, finance in general. They were beyond anything I'd ever seen at my school, and definitely was that private school education. What they had was amazing. I'll probably do private now. Hopefully they didn't hear that. Whew. But it was just, they were smart, and they were passionate, they were lions, they were hungry. So then it moved on to sophomore year, kind of everything slowly, you're getting away from the finance company, the clothes company, everything in between, and sophomore year was just
evil shenanigans.
Excuse the language, but sophomore year was just when things happen. You think you're an adult because you learned what it was, you got through freshman year, you made it.
Moving forward.
Junior year is then the one where you pull your pants up a bit, and for me, I wanted to strap on the suspenders and do everything in between because I was getting pretty angry at this point with school. I wasn't doing well in classes. I wasn't enjoying classes.
Yahoo for school!
I literally had to switch my major, and like a lot of people don't know this because I'm very good at bullshitting way through the answer is I started off wanting to be a business management major because what else would I be with all the business that I had done in the past, but I could not pass calculus, and you needed to pass calculus to
hey, any
be a
idiot could do
business
that.
major. So I would tell people that I was very good
was
at
tough for
communicating.
me,
I loved
so
talking to
back
people.
off!
I loved the vocal side of everything more than I liked finance and numbers, which is true, but I wanted to do business. I did not want to be a communication studies major. That didn't make sense. I didn't even know what the hell that was. But went into it, and that ultimately was a great decision. I loved the communication studies department, the professors, and it definitely was good for me as someone that already knew he didn't like a lot of classes that were being taught. And the only class I ever got an A in, I just say this is a fun fact because it was my junior year, the only class that I ever got an A in was a microeconomics class. And the story behind it was the first day of class, the professor had said, if you can make a pencil, literally a pencil, out of no man-made materials, I will give you an automatic A. And it came down to it. I totally forgot about it. Got about halfway through the class. I'm bombing the class, D-, whatever it was at the time, and it gets 3/4 of the way through the class. It gets down to we have 3 weeks left in the class, and a buddy of mine who's in my fraternity of beauty, Matt Van Summery, turns to me and he's like, dude, do you remember when she talked about like that pencil? Like, do you think that's legit? Do you think we can actually like do that? And then my head just my pencil! This shitstorm. And so I went to work and I worked on this pencil for days. And literally I didn't study. Our finals were coming up. We had 1 week to do our finals, and the week before finals I went into the class and I told the professor, like, I made the pencil, like, is that still available? And she's blown away, like, what are you talking about? And so literally that day I had to present to the class why I felt my pencil should make it through. And I went up there, and what I did is I had melted a sapped covered stick and pine needles, stuffed that into an end of just a piece of wood that I had carved, and it actually worked. And I got an automatic A. She had announced that the class got to vote on it, and me not even knowing what to do when she had said that, like 10 minutes into class, I went and sat at my desk, and I just remember sitting there, back of the room, all my buddies next to me, just
Yeah, Billy!
like,
Billy's number
what
one!
the
Yeah!
hell would you just do? Kind of like thinking to himself. I remember my buddy Baki, big Brendan Baki, like looks over, whispers to me, he's like, do you need to even be here right now? And I was like,
Yahoo! Yahoo for school! Yahoo for me!
I got an A, so it was my only A ever. But back to it, I'm at the time where it's my junior year, and it comes to January. And January for me was a time that definitely changed my life. It changed the direction on where I was going to be and what I was going to be doing. And at that time, as soon as January 1st hit, I knew I wanted an internship for the summer of my junior year going into senior year. So I will get into in another show how the whole process of getting through an internship, how I feel I kind of exceeded and did well on getting an internship. But I was fortunate enough with all the work that I'd put in, all the people that I'd talked to, and all the different ways I did to get into this job. Got a wonderful internship at the largest commercial real estate company in the world, and it was amazing, an amazing experience. And that just changed my life forever. The expectations on what it takes to be a man, the expectations on what it takes to work a real job, but then as well as what a real job is, and the top people in the world, what they're doing. And it was a time for me, but that brought me into so many different opportunities and everything that I learned there. And I don't know how much I want to get into this today, but that led into drone videography company. Jacob, myself, Cody, Anders, and Joe. And it was crazy because at this time we were moving forward into the Gusty Entrepreneurship Cup. I had to go out of town for Calvin, shout out Calvin Seidel's birthday weekend in Florida, and it was amazing. It was one of the most lit vacations ever. It was just us. We got to stay in a condo, no parents, and it was lit. It was so cool. But at that time, all the guys were back at Gustavus, and they got second at the Gusty Entrepreneurship Cup. So we were gifted some money. I I heard it was kind of a little fugazi there. Hopefully no one did, but I just heard there was just some. They had said that our company was definitely the most realistic and the most likely to be successful, but that wasn't the whole overall purpose of this business.
They don't hate us because they hate us. They don't hate us. I'm used to it. They hate us because they hate us.
They wanted more of. So that was frustrating to come back to, but it's super cool that we still got second. But moving forward, I had ended up getting that internship that I talked about, and the commercial industry needs drones, and that is all I realized from my internship, and I'll talk about that so much more, but everything that I had learned there and everything I had gotten from that was just the full realization on they need what we had to offer. It was no longer, because I jumped into this internship and I worked my ass off. First one in, last one to leave, suit and tie, everything that I could do I wanted to do, and I was taught that over in January, prepping for these moments, and I worked my butt off and did very well, but by the end of the internship I had realized that they needed everything I had, and at that point it was just lights out, nobody's home. Like, nobody's home in here. All I knew was drone company now. Wanted to do it no matter what, whatever it took. Kind of went crazy. Kind of lost everything at that point as far as my head, because all it was thinking about was this business. All the different industries, all the different opportunity, and I was gone at that point. It was at that point was running for whatever.
That day on, if I was going
no
somewhere,
full plan, but knew the plan
was running.
Led me to where I am now, and that was coming into my senior year after that summer of working with the drones. Came into my senior year, and I'd actually been given another opportunity through the internship. They had asked me to stay. I did a presentation there, and they really liked it and wanted me to stay, so I was going to work there and still get credits to the school while taking like one class or two classes. And the first few days of the internship were great, but all I could think about was the drones. All I was doing during the day was applying everything that I was doing in the commercial to my head in the drones, but trying to work, and it just was all messed up because of the expectations that I'd set for myself over the summer, and it was not working with then having school and having to go back and take a class, because to be honest, I didn't tell my parents this, but I only went to one class. I went to one day of class. There was only two, so I guess I told them I went to all or three of them, and I went to that first day, and
This ship has sailed.
it was not. I just remember the first thing he asked is like, "What is one thing you want to learn or do over this entire semester that you want to dig into?" And I think I said like artificial intelligence, because that's just one of a million things I wanted to learn. But I knew there was going to be hours worth of homework for this class, hours worth of stuff I did not want to do, hours worth of reading that didn't. It's from a 10-year-old textbook, but he's asking me what I want to do right now. Like, let me go grab a computer quick and learn all of this in 10 minutes. Like, it really bothered me, and ultimately that led me to Dropout. Called my mom, literally bawling, crying my eyes out, like knowing I was gonna leave no matter what, but asking her ultimately because she'd done everything for me to this point. And I just knew there was no other way besides just to say, "Mom, I'm so sorry, but like I gotta be done. I can't do this here. I can't be here. I need to leave. I need to work on this. There's so much to be done, and just give me time. Give me time. We're gonna change the world. Just give me time." And ended up leaving. Left the internship. Those guys were disappointed at work. I'd been doing a lot of stuff for them, and they allowed me to work on the drones. Left school, left everything. Just do this company with the guys, with Rapport Visuals Company, and everything was the connections that were being made at the time, and the opportunity that was opened up to my eyes was just, I feel like I was on top of the world. I got to wake up in the mornings, work from morning till night, living with my buddies, until things started to catch up where it's like, you can't do all of it. Like, it's time to really start making sales, and it's time to really run a business. You can't do both. You can't do full fun and full work and full commitment. It's not you need at least a 75-25. Like, it just doesn't, you can't do 50-50. It doesn't work. And so with everything that was happening with the team we had a lot of guys, and we had a lot of people involved. There was 2 other outside, I don't really want to name drop, and there was 2 other guys and it just became too much with what we were getting out of it as a team, and I just felt like it was time to leave at that point. I didn't really feel like Rappert was going anywhere with what we were actually, all the opportunity we were given. We weren't fulfilling the opportunity, and that's when I realized, like, I was living a fake, like, fantasy that Rappert was going to be the solution. And when I had left school, like, there was so much that hit me at the time that I knew we needed to slow down, because with legal issues, with licensing, with all the equipment that you need, and it wasn't going to work. And I had to be realistic with myself, and that was the hardest time of my life, like, ever so far. And having to, like, a company that I'd put everything into, and like all my money I had to buy new equipment. I had to just, like, this issues have so much happened. It was just the hardest thing in the world, but I had to leave. And so I went home, no company, no school, no internship, and no anything. And I knew, like, I had a plan, or else I would have went back to school. I did have the opportunity of reaching out to the guys that were there for me at the beginning, the guys that wanted to be together from the beginning, and that was with Jay and Patrick. And what's going to be coming from that would be great, but at this time in my life, like, I had to take a step back. Like, what's your plan? And that was when my eyes were open to the real world. And it all started from there. All the research, all the opportunity, all the freelancing, all the money that I realized was actually there when I wasn't only staring straight at one visuals company that didn't really have its exact route, but had all the opportunity in the world. When I had got the opportunity to just say, here you go, like, no company, no this, like, good luck, I got to start putting my blinders on to different routes. And that opened my eyes up to the real world and to what it takes to be a businessman, to be an entrepreneur, to be the guy that I think that I had always thought I was. I wasn't, and I was awoke to that, and I was introduced to, here's what it takes, and here's what you're going to need to do, here's the work you need to put in, and here's the time you need to put in. And so that's where I was, back at home living with my parents, and had to pay rent still on our house, with no job, no anything. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys on that, because if you do want to follow up and see where I'm at now, what I'm doing, why I'm talking about this, all this big talk that I have, that of all the research I've been doing the last few months, and all of the practice, all of the networking, everything I've been doing over the last few months, if you want to hear where I'm at now, why I'm actually smiling, why I'm doing this, why I'm doing this video, why I'm ready to actually tell people what I've learned, and kind of actually take on a little bit of information for you role, rather than taking in the information myself. To see all that and see any of the answers that I do have, you will have to view the video on Monday. So I'm going to have my second video on Monday, and that's really going to be explaining where I'm at now, what I'm doing, and I'm going to talk about where I'm going and my plans for the future, because I am damn excited. I'm super excited for this February, very excited for the rest of the months coming forward. And if you want to kind of hopefully be along with that journey, the big point of it is I am trying to build something here with the other people around me, and building a community with those people, because that's what really matters. That's the only way to move forward, is having people around you. So this was a little bit long. We'll see how it all ends up, but if this is the way it ends, thank you guys so much. It was super nice if you listened this far, honestly, because this was a pretty long video. We'll see how it all plays out. But again, if you could subscribe to this video, it would mean a lot. Sorry, I said that wrong. If you can subscribe to this, it would mean a bunch to me. Comment, like it, whatever you want to do. Any type of support would mean a lot, because I'm literally talking to a camera in an office alone, so any type of support would be pretty nice at this point. But thank you, and hopefully you can see the rest. I do have a lot to still bring, and I have a lot to show you guys. So hopefully you get to see it. Thanks again. See ya.